Hello everybody and welcome to ISpeakSpokeSpoken.com. My name is Dan and today we're going to be looking at the word do. Now, do is a very versatile word in English and it has different ways of using it. So it can be used as a verb, as a main verb, it can act as an adverb, and these things we will cover in another video. But today we're going to be looking at do as an auxiliary verb. Okay, so as a verb that supports a sentence, an auxiliary verb. So even in this form it is conjugated. What do we mean by that? We mean that it takes different forms depending on whether it's I, he, she, you, we beforehand. So let's have a look at a table and we can get this clear in your mind. So here it is. You can pause the video, you can go to the I above, you can download this, you can have a good look in your own time. I would print it maybe, you can even make some notes on it, old school, let's do it that way. So as you can see, this is what we have here. He does, she does, it does. What happens here is what happens to all verbs, it goes to the third person plural. So I do, you do, he does, she does, it does, we do, you do, and they do, okay? That's all you really have to remember, because in the negative present form we have doesn't or does not. Remember that this contraction is really important. Doesn't always sounds better than does not. When you're speaking with your friends, when you're speaking with people that you don't even know, always try to contract your English because it makes it sound much higher level. Actually, I think there's most times that you don't need to do this, use do does not, it just doesn't work. Maybe you can use this when you're writing something formal, but actually mainly the contraction is a good way to go. So that's all you need to remember with the conjugation here, because here we have did. Now, past form is always did, everything. He did, she did, I did, you did, we did, all the same. Nothing to remember really. Once you know that past is did, you know everything. The same with didn't. So didn't, did not. Again, better to use didn't than did not. Always sounds better. I didn't do it. Unless you really want to state something, like I did not do it, then didn't is the best way to use it. Okay, let's have a look at the example then. So as you can see, we have here the information as do as an auxiliary verb. So there are three uses as an auxiliary verb. We have to ask a question, we have to express negation, and we have for certain affirmations, okay? So let's look at do as an auxiliary verb. So as an auxiliary verb, it has two uses, to ask a question and to express negation, okay? Questions we have are closed and open-ended questions, and we'll look at those right now. So using auxiliary verb for asking a question for a closed question is one where you can answer yes or no, where there's no space for asking what you want or how many you want, but we'll look at that in a minute. So for example, do you like? So do you like French food? Yes, I do. Or you can just say yes or no. Yes, I do. No, I don't. Does she agree? Yes, she does. Okay, yes, she does. No, she doesn't. So we have this, first you have the example of the negative, which we saw before. And secondly, you can see that there is only one option after this question. Closed questions, because it's literally a yes or no answer. So have a look just to make sure we know about this pronunciation. The word food is oo sound, food sound. Just be careful with this oo. Some people get this a little bit wrong. And also we have agreed, or to agree. Agree is actually a word that you need to make sure you get this stress on the second part, because if you say agree, it doesn't sound right. Agree. In fact, you can get these vowels, as I said before, many times you can say these vowels slightly wrong, but as long as you get the stress right, that word will sound good. So these are closed questions, and to form them we have auxiliary, subject, verb and object. Okay, this is exactly how you should do it. You can play with the form slightly, but let's just say that this is a good way to structure your sentence. So how else can we use do? Well, we can use it as an open-ended question as well. So for example, you're going to need something slightly different in your sentence. So for example, what do you want for dinner? How many times did you call me? Okay. Which book does she like the most? Open-ended question literally just means that the answer can be a range of different things. Okay, it's not just yes or no. So let's have a look at do as an auxiliary verb in an open-ended question. Now, a closed question is a simple yes or no. But in an open-ended question, we're going to have the need to use a different form because we want to have more information from the person that we're asking the question to. So, what do you want for dinner? Okay, answer, I'd like to have soup. The answers here are open-ended, so it can be anything the person you're asking wants to say. You don't know what it is. It's not as simple as yes or no. Have a look at the structure then. So we've got our question word here. Again, we've got question words here, how many and which, question words here. And then we have the auxiliary version of do. So auxiliary version of do here, auxiliary here, auxiliary here, okay? So usually we're talking to somebody. So often you'll see you here. So this is your subject. Okay, subject, and she is the subject as well. And then we have our verb. So want, call, like. Now, this is exactly how it should be, and you can mess around with this structure of the sentence if you wish. But just following this is going to be a good way to make sure that your sentences sound good and you use do correctly. Okay, so look at the potential answers that we have. What do you want for dinner? I'd like to have soup. How many times did you call? I called 3 times. Which book does she like the most? This one. Just a little note on pronunciation. Here is quite important because a lot of people get this word slightly wrong in pronunciation. It's dinner, dinner. The Americans use this word to talk about the place that you can go and have coffee. It's diner because there's only one N, okay? Dinner with the double N, we have this I sound. So this becomes I. It's very important that you know this and that you remember it. And also the stress on the first part of the word, dinner, okay? How many times did you call? Or sound, call. Okay, I say call, and the Americans might say call. Okay, so just remember, be careful, it's not always the way. Sometimes these vowel sounds can change, and actually it's perfectly okay. Right, which book does she like the most? This word book, this sound. It's not book, it's not buck, it's book. Okay, You can also have a look at these different phonetic sounds if you go on the I, and you can find our phonetic chart. So, most. Does she like the most? O sound. Okay, good. Okay, let's have a look at some more examples of open-ended questions just to give you some more practice. So, what do you think you're doing? Okay, this is where you use it as a verb, not as the form we're talking about. So this is the form we're talking about as auxiliary. What do you think? And then doing here is the verb, isn't it? So you could say, what do you think you're eating? What do you think you're saying? There's a very big difference between this do and this do. This is the one we're looking at today, and this is the one that you can find maybe in another video that we will do in the future. You can also say, for example, how many books did he say he wants to buy? Which one do you prefer? Let's look at this word prefer actually. It depends where you are in the country to how you would say it. It's always fur, but sometimes it's prefer, sometimes it's prefer. It depends, and it's both completely okay actually, so don't worry about that. So let's now look at do to express negation, so the negative answer to a question. So in the simple present and the past, you need do plus not, and you need did plus not to express a negative answer. Let's have a look at what we mean. So in this case, it is do that agrees with the subject and is conjugated, and the main verb is not conjugated. So I like tea, I don't like tea, okay? We've just had a little focus on this word tea here. Some people might get it wrong and say tea, but it's not, it's tea, okay, E sound. So I like tea, positive. I don't like tea, negative. Okay, she knows him. She doesn't know him. Okay, so when we're using it in a positive form, or when we're saying a positive sentence, we don't use do at all. Do doesn't have to be used, but it's only used in a negative form in order to say that that is not the case. So like here, for example, she knew him, she did not know him. Okay, so this is how we use it in negative form. And actually, this is something that most of my students find very natural. They don't really have to think too much, and I don't think you will either, because as soon as you want to say something in a negative form, it will automatically come. It's just we don't realize how much English we take in through content, through everyday living, and you will find this a lot easier than it may seem. So we've looked at all these different forms of do. Remember, all the slides we've looked at today you can download from the I above. If you're on a tablet or if you're on a mobile, that will be underneath your description, so in the description of the video, underneath the video. Have a look through it, take the test, see whether you've got this sorted in your mind. If you need to watch the video once again, 3 times, 4 times, 10 times, as long as you get this and as long as you understand it, that's the main thing. That's all we want. That's all I want. And I want you to be happy, and I want you to speak English perfectly. So, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you again next time.